Hi there, welcome to Chat Room for another night. I'm Eva Bradley. Well, it's arguably one of the biggest shows of community support Hawke's Bay's ever seen. On Monday, hundreds of people will start work building 5 buildings just behind the Hawke's Bay Hospital. Only 6 days later, they plan to have them finished. The Little Elms project is a Trucking for Cancer Hawke's Bay initiative. And tonight we're going to hear what's involved. First though, Kirsten Griffiths from the Child Cancer Foundation Hawke's Bay is here to tell us why they're doing it. Kirsten, welcome to the show and thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Eva.
Now we all know that child cancer is an incredibly horrific thing for any child or parent to go through. How important is it that we have the support structures in place to ease families through this?
Well, like you say, Eva, having a child diagnosed with cancer is incredibly traumatic, and the journey with childhood cancer can take years through to the end of treatment. And so having a good support facility will make a huge difference for our families here in Hawke's Bay.
So 5 buildings over 6 days. We're going to talk a little bit later with some of those involved about how they're going to logistically do this. But first tell me what you're getting from this and how it's going to help the organisation.
Well, the project initially began for our benefit. We thought we could do with a better base of operations, including an office but also a family area, a place for people to come and relax and just a place for us to be together as an organisation supporting our families. And then from that, the suggestion was made that why don't we have a chalet for people to stay in if they're stuck in Hawke's Bay, people coming from out of town. If they're stuck in Hastings overnight and they needed somewhere to stay near the hospital. We thought, great idea. And it's grown from there, and actually we're going to be having 6 chalets and a respite care house, and these are going to be made available beyond Child Cancer Foundation. They'll be made available to other sick children as well, which we think is awesome. Yeah.
So Kirsten, tell me how many children this will affect. Obviously all the children who go in and out of the hospital in the children's ward anyway will have access to this project, but how many in Hawke's Bay do we see every year?
Well, it does vary a bit from year to year. This year we've had a pretty tough year. We've had 6 new families diagnosed so far this year. That's about the average for the whole year that we usually have in Hawke's Bay. But one thing that people need to be aware of is though we hear that number, 6 a year, you think it's a small number, but of course the journey with childhood cancer can sometimes take 2 or 3 years of treatment before children are well again. And so we work with about 50 different families who are at different stages from treatment through to late effects, and also bereaved families. And so we will have quite a large number of families that are able to benefit from this complex. But like you say, the ones on treatment are the ones who have the highest need. And so there'll be maybe about a dozen at a time, a dozen families at a time.
I like the way you say that the journey before they're well again. Have we passed that phase where cancer and child cancer needs to be a death sentence?
Oh, absolutely, Eva. Yeah, a lot of people aren't aware of this, but cancer in children is very treatable now. And, for example, the common form of leukemia, ALL leukemia, which is actually the most common childhood cancer, in years gone by, 30 or 40 years ago, it was almost always fatal disease. These days, most children are cured and completely well, which is just awesome, and treatment is improving all the time. So the outlook for children who've been diagnosed with cancer is actually really positive in most cases.
And what is the role of the Hawke's Bay Hospital in that, given that Little Elms is going to be built as a facility to service that?
Well, I think as a lot of people are aware, a lot of the more serious end of treatment actually happens at Starship Hospital in Auckland, and a number of our families spend a lot of time up there, and we have the Ronald McDonald houses up there to help with that. But there is a lot of treatment and care that happens locally here at the Hawke's Bay Hospital as well. For some children who've been through the first phases of chemo, they may end up having some of their treatment locally. So it really helps to have a facility locally to support families as they're there for treatment. And also for regular checkups, for tests, for all that sort of thing. A lot of that happens locally in Hawke's Bay, and so having a facility where families can come and be together and hang out and have a little break from the hospital ward is going to be really positive.
How did you feel when Trucking for Cancer Hawke's Bay came to you with this idea? I mean, obviously the first thing is no, it's not possible. How can you do this in 6 days? But also just when it became real, thinking, wow, this is really going to change the way we do business.
Well, we were really a bit bowled over with the concept of the 6 day they build, I have to say. It just sounds amazing. But the thing that I'm always very appreciative of is the local community support that we receive. We receive wonderful support from our local community and appeals through the Trucking Trust. Our big trucking day we had last year and that we have every 2 years, which is put on by the trucking people. It's amazing to see the care and love that's expressed by the local community here in Hawke's Bay. It's a wonderful thing.
I think cancer is something that has touched so many lives. There's not many people these days who don't know someone who has suffered from it, but it is somehow so much harder to come to terms with when it's a child, isn't it?
It's absolutely right, yes. It is, and luckily it is much more rare among children than it is among older adults, but it is an incredibly traumatic journey. A typical thing that happens, typical scenario would be, you go along for a blood test, next thing you know, the doctor's telling you you've got to fly up to Starship tomorrow for 6 weeks and your child's going to be going through chemotherapy. And, it's just absolutely mind-boggling what this does to a family. It's not just the child themselves that has to go through, it's 2 or sometimes even 3 years of treatment. There's also all the roll-on effects for a family. Sometimes a parent has to give up work. Sometimes siblings miss out on parental attention. Schoolwork suffers. There's all sorts of roll-on effects from this diagnosis that are incredibly difficult, and that's what the work of the Child Cancer Foundation is all about. We're all about stepping in to help and support so that people don't travel this journey alone. We network families with other families. We have social events for people to get together, as well as practical, financial and emotional support. So sometimes it will be, just some grocery vouchers or petrol vouchers. Sometimes it might be just someone to talk to.
I think it's just important for parents to know they're not going this journey alone, aren't they?
Absolutely.
It must be quite heartening then for the parents you've spoken to know that the community has really got behind them. $1.3 million for a community the size of Hawke's Bay is incredible.
Oh, yeah, you should hear them talking about it. They're just so amazed and appreciative of the work that's been done by the Trucking for Child Cancer Hawke's Bay Trust, and they're just blown away by the amount of care they feel from the community here in Hawke's Bay. It's awesome.
Because dealing with cancer in a child often is obviously a medical problem, but state of mind is vital in recovery, isn't it?
It certainly is, and it's really important to work with the whole family. So yes, like you say, it's not just medical issues. There's also a lot of issues about dealing with the whole trauma, dealing with the whole family being disrupted. We also do a lot of work with siblings and who often find this a difficult journey themselves.
Well, Kirsten, thank you so much for coming in, and good luck. We're looking forward to watching it unfold. After the break, we will be talking firsthand with one of these parents, Scott Sclater, who's here to tell us about his little man, 3-year-old William. Hi there, welcome back into the chat room. We're talking about the logistics of the Little Elms project starting on Monday. And with us we have a very special guest. Scott, welcome to the show. Now, back in May, you had some horrific news for your family. Take us through what happened that month.
Well, on the 20th of May, we went in just to see our regular doctor, and William just wasn't really feeling quite right, so our doctor was just fantastic, said, look, let's have a few precautions and send him in to get some tests. Later that day we found out that he had leukemia, and right from that day, that evening he had a blood transfusion, and the next morning we were on a flight up to Auckland on the ambulance plane. So it was quite as I say, not just a shock, but they basically said be prepared to stay up there for about 8 weeks, and life sort of from there very much changed.
He was only 2 years old at the time.
Correct.
Tell me how you felt as a family when you got this body blow.
Well, it's very devastating. I mean, I have three children, and you have lots of hope for your children and dreams for your children, and to just hear when you have such a young child, something like this, I mean, it really just throws the whole family into quite a big tailspin. And
logistically, what has it meant for you since William's diagnosis then?
Well, we have a 2-year-old daughter as well, so we're working through what young families do, and William had just started in preschool just 2 months prior to it, and all of those things have just changed. He's now not able to attend preschool, and as well as our younger daughter, being able to be separated from mom when they travel up to Auckland. The whole logistics of your family life just changes dramatically. My wife was going back to work at the vet clinic a few days a week, and now she's traveling up to Auckland 3 days a week.
So you're required to go to Starship for most of your treatment then? Most of William's?
Luckily, Hawke's Bay is one of the hospitals that does have an affiliation with Starship, so a lot of his treatment is being able to be done locally, but his major treatment is done through Starship. So 2 or 3 days a week, Emma and my son will fly up to Starship and spend the night at Ronald McDonald House, and then have treatment and then fly home.
So the facilities available to you at Ronald McDonald House is essentially what's going to be here with Little Elms. How important or what difference does it make to you and to Em when she goes up there with William to have that sort of facility?
We've talked about it many times. Without those facilities, we just thought, what would you do? Ronald McDonald House is just right next to the hospital, and during his treatment, sometimes he'd be quite unwell and we'd be there till late at night, but one parent stays with him and one has to stay off-site, and we had our young daughter up there with us as well. So to be able to, at 1 a.m, walk my wife down to Ronald McDonald House and then walk back up was just such a convenience. Without that, you'd think, where were you? And to have a facility just across the road from the hospital here, we're lucky enough to live very close to the hospital, but for families in Wairau or places like that, the logistics of having to have multiple treatments, this facility will just be fantastic.
Because as we discussed with Kirsten before the break, it isn't just a medical journey you're going through, is it? It's very much an emotional one as well. And how important is it just to have structures and support behind you as you go on the journey? Without
what we've been able to have from child cancer and just supports, as Kirsten mentioned, meal vouchers or things like that, when you're away for 8 weeks and you're without things like your vehicle for the first little while. We were lucky enough to have friends bring our vehicle up to us, but you're in Auckland, you're in the middle of nowhere, and just having that support is just, without it, you just think, where would we be? And with child cancer, just bringing extra things around to entertain William while he's having treatment, those are the things that just make it so much easier for parents.
Do you look at William differently now that you've seen him cope? Because he is only 3 years old. Is he a bit of a fighter?
Oh, it's just amazing. The treatment that he's had, myself and his granddad just look at it and say, wow, it's treatment that we couldn't imagine going through ourselves. And to see him go through it, every day is just amazing.
What sort of things have you learned about yourselves and about him on this journey?
He is a fighter, so it's something where he's 3 years old with a big smile, and he just wants to be a boy. And those are the times where being a father and watching him, he wants to be no different than any other boy. And he's having to take this extra load that you just wouldn't want to wish on any family.
And take your time, because I think one thing about why we got you in here is the fact that it is a human face. We can all talk about the statistics of child cancer and how important this facility is for the community, but it is seeing how you personally go through this, and that we've got this amazing little boy here. This is what every family goes through. And it's great that the community has got behind it. What does it make you feel to think almost $1.3 million has been raised, and next week we're going to see hundreds of people crawling over that site to help you and to help families like you in the future?
Well, to even have a place to go to, when we were up in Auckland, Child Cancer has a facility up there where you can go and have a cup of coffee. There's toys there, or you can take a DVD with you. Again, when you're away from home, you're going away for sometimes up to 8 weeks. You can only pack so much.
And it's not just physically being away from home, which of course these chalets will give people. It's a very isolating experience, I imagine, having a child with cancer. No one can really, we can empathise with you, but no one can say, unless they've walked in your shoes, what it actually feels like. So even just knowing that there's a community behind you, backing you, Does that somehow make it feel less of a lonely experience?
Oh, very much so. I mean, as I say, with this little Elms facility in Ronald McDonald House, to be able to keep the family together, we had our William's grandparents come up and stay for a couple of nights just to give us a bit of a break. And to be able to have a facility where it can keep the family together means so much. But the other thing that's fantastic about these facilities that people who haven't gone through it don't realize, but having other families there as well that are going through similar things, being able to talk to them and just be able to share things with them really helps you understand more of what you're going through.
And where to from now, Scott? Do you intend to beat this thing together?
Yeah, well, I mean, William, as Kirsten mentioned, cancer now is something that's very curable. The main thing is to keep him well. So, you know, things that we took for granted, going to the supermarket, is something where, you know, we don't take William into the supermarket now just for the cases that his immunity is so low. So your life does definitely change drastically. You know, our 2-year-old daughter is struggling the fact that, you know, she's had her brother there her whole life, and some of the times he's too unwell to play, and she just doesn't quite understand that. So it is a journey the whole family does go through. And that journey is made much easier through you know, the help. The other week, Child Cancer had laser force night, and I was able to take my older daughter, because this process isn't just about our son. There's a lot of the other siblings that do miss out when you're away or when different treatments need to be done.
Well, Scott, thank you so much for coming in. An incredibly hard thing for you to do, to talk about it, and we really do appreciate it, and we wish you all the best with your journey as you travel through it.
Thanks very much, Eva.
Stay with us, because after the break we'll be getting Selwyn Hawthorne in from Trucking for Child Cancer Hawke's Bay to tell us about the logistics of building 5 buildings in 6 days. Welcome back to Chat Room. Now we're going to talk logistics. Little Elms starting on Monday, and here with us we have Selwyn Hawthorne, trustee of the Trucking for Child Cancer Hawke's Bay. Selwyn, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Eva.
Now, it doesn't seem that long ago, back in October last year, we had some of your people from the Trust talking about this idea, this grand idea to build a massive complex in 6 days. Here we are on Monday, we're about to start it. Are you ready?
We are ready, and we've got a crew of people who are just itching to go. And might I say that excitement isn't the sole domain of the children.
So this is like basically the night before Christmas Day for everyone.
It is.
A little bit of fear involved. It is bigger than anything you've ever tackled before.
I think as this type of project, it's the biggest one that's been done in New Zealand. But there's no fear. I'm working with some wonderful people. We've got Pete Carter from Edwards, who's driving that side of things just magnificently. We've got the Contractors Federation on board, driving magnificently. And no, I've got no fears at all, Eva.
Now, there's obviously been a lot of work behind the scenes. I think the groundwork started in August. Obviously, we'd like to say you hit your head doing all of this work, that you just banged into a door, but this has been going on for a long time, hasn't it? How did this project first get off the ground?
The project got off the ground when, in our biennial meeting with the Child Cancer Foundation prior to our truck cavalcades, we go to ask them what they would like next. And this particular time, the trustees of the Child Cancer Foundation Hawke's Bay region decided they'd like some premises closer to the hospital. And so on our way back from the meeting with CCF, it was noticed that a property immediately behind the hospital was available for sale. It was just so serendipitous that it was owned by an ex-transport operator, Mr. John Elms. And so we got into negotiations, and we had only 3 days to act once he came up with the most beneficial price that we could ever imagine.
He already had an offer much higher in his back pocket, didn't he?
Yes, we understand he had an offer from a group of Auckland property developers, which had a 3-day life on it still, and we had to meet and match that, and he assisted us greatly with what he wanted.
That serendipitous start really was a sign of things to come, because it is this amazing coming together of the community and people like him just coming out and saying, let me help you. Has that stunned you?
It has stunned me, and when I think of the organisations that we have been involved with, Their generosity of spirit has been absolutely staggering. And I must say this, that only I know how many times I've walked out of an office with a tear in my eye.
$1.3 million is a lot of money for a community the size of Hawke's Bay. Who's been getting behind it?
We've got various organisations. One of the most beneficial to us has been the Freemasons. We've had Ngāti Kahungunu Iwi Incorporated have been just so beneficial to us. We've had all the various trusts, and right down to the person who, on hearing about the build-off and the fact that we were going to be feeding all these people, that this person went away and came back with $500 worth of groceries to help the cause.
I think that's almost one of the, I mean, obviously the fact the facility is going to be there for families with sick children is important, but also just the sense of community spirit. We as a Hawke's Bay region will draw from this. The fact that we're all working together, it's something that used to happen a lot, and perhaps we've all become quite insular. Will this have far-reaching effects for Hawke's Bay as a community? I
think it will, and I think this was originally created last year with the Cranford Hospice build, which is why I decided that we should follow this through with carters, master builders, certified builders and so on, because we noticed up there a community spirit that was very evident in my youth around Hawke's Bay. And it was just such a nice fuzzy feeling at the time that it needed to be regenerated, and it has been regenerated thanks to our community.
Take us through some of the sheer logistics that we're going to be seeing next week over the 6-day build period.
Right. Well, at 6 a.m. on Monday, along with some celebrities like Buck Shelford, Brendan Johnson, Moneyman, John Coxey from the Carter's Building Show, and Greer Robson, there'll be a karakia held. And immediately after that, perhaps 5 minutes past 6, there are going to be 110 carpenters start hammering. I do fear for the neighbours, but we have alerted them.
Now this is on Orchard Road and people can come down and see that?
Yes. Initially, because of the amount of craneage going on and forklifts moving around, they won't be allowed onto the property for perhaps the first couple of days. But once the major components have been moved around, people will be welcome to come down, providing they stay behind the lines for their own hazard care and so on. They'll be most welcome to look. They may find that a bucket is put under their nose for a donation, but so be it.
And of course that's the important thing to stress, that you still do need the community support. You're not quite there yet, so anything that people can do to help financially is obviously much appreciated.
How true, Eva. One of the things though is that we've had some magnificent offers of all sorts of things, but at this point in time there's only one thing we need, because everything else has been pre-ordered and so on. It is money that's our only requirement at this point.
Now, getting this ticked off by council at the end of the week is going to be hard, especially the council's going to know that you're doing this quickly. And the actual look of the buildings is fantastic too. We're just going to flick through these. We can see here the exterior of the office building, is that right?
Correct, yes.
And then we've got this fantastic
respite house.
The respite house where
yes.
families can go. And we can see here that it's actually taking up a vast amount of area on Orchard Road here. So people are really going to notice this place once it's up and running, aren't they?
They sure are. And you mentioned before council. We've had magnificent support from the Hastings District Council and Mayor Lawrence Yule. Yep.
What do you think is going to be the hardest thing next week?
I think coordinating everything and the weather. We've allowed 2 days for 2 days of rain. If they're the first 2 days, it's going to hold us up. But if we can get Monday and Tuesday in, and bearing in mind that we expect to be starting some of the roofing on Monday, if we can get the roofing on, we're home and hosed.
Well, it's a fantastic challenge, and I think all of Hawke's Bay will be behind you for this. If you want to see what's going on, go on down there to Orchard Road anytime next week. Of course, there is a grand unveiling the following Sunday on the 12th at 11 a.m. Be there for that. But you can find out more at www.littleelms.co.nz, and also very importantly, if you want to contribute, PO Box 2351 Stortford Lodge. We've also got a website here to see William's progress as well. That's all we've got time for on Chat Room. Thank you very much for coming in and telling us about this, and good luck for next week.
Thank you, Eva.
Good night. We'll see you all again later.
For more information, call 0800 88 4200. This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.
Unbelievable. It's one of those rides you can only ever dream of. It's now just on 450 days since 3 people sat down on the Marine Parade in Napier after having built the Cranford Hospice House, and that's Peter Edwards, Richard Kepka and myself. We sat down and we said, what next? And Trucking for Hawke's Bay Child Cancer had just purchased this land. We'd only had it about 10 days. They said, okay, let's do that.
It sort of stemmed a little bit from when we did the Carter's Cranford House Challenge, and Selwyn mentioned about a project that the Trucking for Child Cancer Hawke's Bay Charitable Trust had in mind. Yeah. So we got talking about it and having a look at what was involved. We thought, it would be a great idea. Instead of building it over a longer period of time, why not do it over 6 days?
This land here had been owned by Elms and Sons, the very third generation trucking company from Hawke's Bay.
I think it's a good idea, there are similar sort of situations. Well, we've got Osmond House down in Army, haven't we? The wife had to go down there, but you realise, that communities get together on this sort of thing, don't they?
They managed to get the Contractors Federation on board, and Infracom in particular, Paul Atkins, Aki, who did a fantastic job getting everything that we can't see done. And everything on this premise is underground, is brand new. It's capable of taking an extra loading from when we possibly get to stage 2 and stage 3. But some of these people are the unsung heroes because they weren't here when all the glory was happening. While it was on a similar concept to Cranford Hospice, it is just proportionately larger, massively larger.
The size of it? Well, they had a wish list of what they actually wanted to get out of the project, so they always knew they wanted a office and some chalets. So I basically just saw what they wanted and thought, well, why not? Let's make it into a half decent project. And then we thought we'd throw in a respite house as well, just to make it a little bit more, interesting. And then started from there. And really, from that point, it was trying to canvass support from the builders, being certified and master builders, and then working your way through all the different trades.
Kaupapa that's been set up to build these chalets for our cancer people. So I'd just like to once again thank you, Chris, to you, as one of our MPs, Craig. Mato tātou kaihanga tunu ku e Manaki, he tiaki mō ngā wā kei te harama.
Hallelujah.
Pete Edwards managed to pull master builders and certified builders, pull them together, and to see the camaraderie develop during the week that they were here was wonderful. We've spoken with all the various gambling funding agencies and trusts, the Freemasons, Ngāti Kahungunu Iwi, and various other trusts, and we have managed to raise at this point in time around about $800,000, which, coupled with the discounting through the suppliers of materials for the building and the donation of labour by the various trades groups, the builders, the master builders, certified builders, master plumbers, master electricians, Stewart's Electrical, SAE Electrical, Hawke's Bay Contractors Federation, Hire Pool. We're fronted with a property here that has an insured value of $1.8 million from the buildings, and it's going to cost us about $800,000 net. So it's showing you what community spirit has been created, and it was that community spirit that we saw in the Cranford House, that through Pete Edwards and Richard Kepka, that gave us the momentum to kick off on this project.
Oh mate, hey, anything for child cancer, eh? I think the government wastes way too much money on other things, mate, and you know there's a lot of things that, just small things that everyone can put in to do to help child cancer. I think it's awesome that all these people are here, and yeah, I'm proud to be here as well.
From the experience that Carter's and Pete Edwards had gained with Cranford House, it was just a matter of multiplying it out by 6, because instead of building one house, we built 6 premises here, and coordinating all of that. But Peter is a miracle worker, but this was a quantum step to go from basically 1 premise last year, which was to be auctioned off, to 6 buildings this year, all on permanent sites. There was a lot more work involved in it per site, and certainly accumulatively there's a massive amount of work to tie the whole thing together.
I normally sit in front of a computer all day. This is much nicer to be here, and I really believe in the project.
They were just so happy to be working with mates who, in some cases, they'd worked with at other places and so on. The fact that the cause was such a good one, the fact that in a lot of cases, or in some cases, people had had the personal experience of the child cancer journey. In terms of the materials that were used in the premises here, some of them were a free donation, and in other cases we're paying 40% of wholesale price. In other cases we're getting discounts. So it's a real mixed bag, but the effort that went into securing those discounts was staggering on the part of Carter's and the various trades groups, and certainly the contributions from the national companies are very, very gratefully received.
I'm always holding a wall up, you know. No, we're just building a scaffolding so we can put some trusses up. Yeah. Okay. My boss donated our time, Gemco Construction from Havelock North, and yeah, he rang me and asked me if I would like to come and help out, and yeah, I was more than willing. I had a dad of 80 who died of cancer, but this is for child cancer, which is a really good cause, and yeah, I'm really blessed to be able to do it, yeah.
It's a very, very good cause, I think, and it's all good to be part of a team and just help what we can for the kids. Because I missed the one last year that the certified builders did in Napier. You know, that was an amazing experience, the guys say. So come along, it's good to run into some of the guys as tradesmen haven't seen me for a wee while as well. So.
Oh, amazing! You know, they kicked off about 6 o'clock with the the blessing and that, and by 6:30 they were into it and fantastic. You know, they've done a lot of work in a short time, and it's accolades go out to the people of Hastings and Napier or Hawke's Bay, and the builders that have given their time for this project. It's fantastic, and it shows you what happens when people pitch together. They can achieve a lot in a short time. Fantastic cause, the cancer cause. Everyone's everyone knows somebody in the family or relations or extended whānau that have been afflicted by the cancer, and I think that it's a great cause, a fantastic cause.
It's just a nice feel good that they actually, that they're actually able to provide something for the Hawke's Bay, and the people that gave their time up. One of the builders from Waipak, he was only going to give 1 day, and he got so drawn into the whole event that he was there the whole week, and that wasn't intentional. He was only really going to give 1 day, and that's the sort of feedback that just keeps coming back. Guys thought, well, hey, might as well give you 2, and then 2 turns into 3, so that was quite endemic.
Cancer has affected us very closely, and so this project's very dear to our hearts, really. My husband Doug and I, when we were approached by Selwyn Hawthorne, decided that it was a project that was something that we could contribute to. When we were affected, there was nowhere for my husband to stay, and something like this gives families a close bonding with other families in a similar situation.
We got talked into it last week, and we're here. Yeah. Waipak Construction from Waipukurau. So there's 5 of us have come up this morning, and we're here for 3 days.
And what do you think?
Great.
Like an army of ants.
Oh, yeah. No, you just got to be so careful. There's timber flying around. There's all sorts of things.
And why? Why are you?
Well, it's a good cause, isn't it? I mean, and that's what it's all about. I mean, no one likes to see these kids suffer, and if you can make their life a little bit easier, yeah, go to it.
I've booked myself in for the whole week, See how we go. Hopefully by Wednesday we should have the pre-line finished, and I might be able to leave them alone Thursday and Friday. I think we're keeping on top of it all.
I had chemotherapy and we went up to Starship to do it.
Is that what all those beads are? Tell me about your beads.
It's for every procedure you go through.
How are you now?
Good.
Still have got more treatment to go?
It's on hold. Yeah.
To give something back to the people that have helped us, because with CCF they've helped us a lot going through our treatment and that, so it's our turn to give something back to the community.
Tell us about the treatment. Who's getting the treatment?
My daughter Siobhan Conrad, she's been getting treatment up in Starship, Auckland. Yeah. We got diagnosed March this year. Yeah, so we sort of knew on this path, but we've had a lot of support from a lot of people. Yeah.
And so now it's payback, is it?
Yeah. Give our time, payback. Oh, I think it's great. All the volunteers that have come in, all the businesses that have donated stuff, it's just been overwhelming, all the support that they've had. Especially food, all the food, people just coming, dropping stuff off. It's been great. People walking in off the street to help. My children, their grandmother passed away from cancer, so we've sort of been through that path, but it's a lot different when it's your own child that suffers,
We were fortunate enough through contacts via More FM, who were our publicists for this event, that they had contacts and we had contacts. That, for the build-off week, we were very, very fortunate to secure the services of Buck Shelford, who brought his wife Jo. Wonderful support for us. Brendan Johnson, the money man, the man who sorts out people's credit cards. Carter's through their connection with Coxie, who runs their show, and also through Carter's Greer Robson.
Can I interest you in a magpie pie, $1 to charity? So you can feel very good about yourself.
And all those people actually really enhanced the event here. They pulled people here to see what was happening, and they got involved in the community by way of different events.
That's probably the great thing about it, is it? And you could have probably argue it's anywhere in New Zealand, but Hawke's Bay's got a very strong sense of social responsibility, I think. And something like this, where some of the effort and time that was put in by members of the public was huge. You know, like the costs would, you know, I couldn't fathom how much cost would be involved. And they do it without even moaning and groaning, just get in there, help out, you know. So I think, yeah, that's a sense of social community. Yeah.
I personally have cried several times, off and on. Just the emotion of watching all these men giving their time and their expertise for this project. The emotions, all the girls in the kitchen helping have got either children with cancer or have lost children with cancer, or, you know, have children in care at the moment. Just watching them giving their time, working along quietly, helping along has been huge. I'm not the only one crying. There are other people too. There are some great family stories out there, great bravery, sadness, but they're all battling on and working in together. It's been huge.
They just love it, seeing so much activity all at once and everyone's happy and doing it for a good cause.
I know lots of other people that have been involved with cancer families and stuff, and if I can contribute what I can to help out here, it pays dividends in the end, I hope.
Oh mate, it's unreal, eh? You know, just people come from everywhere, and some guys have been here since 6 o'clock Monday morning and haven't gone home, and others rock in and do their bit when they can, so that's what Hawke's Bay's about, isn't it?
It is just truly inspiring. It's amazing to see so many people come together, give their time freely, and just work as a community. It's very, very moving. It's been a great thing to be a part of.
Not since I left.
Charlene is fantastic. She made the transition trouble-free, as his course, and childcare subsidies means it's easy for my budget.
High of 17 degrees today. 17 is the forecast time.
They've been voted another magpie. Oh, you are doing a great thing for your fellow children. Yeah.
Gary, can I